your host, Heather Ashley, and welcome to another episode of Women of Her Story, a podcast dedicated to celebrating women who have made or are making their mark on our society. Today, I have with me the always captivating, creative, and beautiful Julia Cavagna. She is an actress with the Metropolitan Opera. Thank you so much for joining us today, Julia.
Thank you for inviting me.
At the time of this interview, we're all in quarantine, and hopefully by the time this airs, we will be able to live in the world again. That being said, as a performer with the Metropolitan Opera, how did this affect your season?
Initially, they closed the theater until, I think, March 29th. So I was rehearsing Werther, and the opening was coming like in 3 days or something like that. And then they announced that the closure will go until next season. So the theater will be closed until September, August.
Oh, wow. They just entirely eliminated the remainder of the season. That's pretty rough. How was that, hearing that news?
Initially, I'll take it like fine, because I thought, okay, fine, it's 15 days. I can handle it. We'll have, I don't know, one of the performance if we have it. And then I was, also Bohème was coming back. And after that, when they announced that the close will be until next season, I thought, okay, I like as many other people in this country and citizens, I'm just a visa holder. I found myself with, I lost my job basically, which is like 70% of my income.
Oh, that's tough. So absolutely tough. And you've lost all these other gigs as well. You know, the arts have taken a major hit.
Yeah. Yes. Also, I was like rehearsing other two like off-Broadway plays, and also they canceled. So the only thing that I'm doing right now is teaching to kids through Zoom. I teach at PS 889 in Brooklyn. So I keep teaching those classes, and I'm trying to add 2 more. And I run a program, Theater to the People. It's a service, a social service, so I don't see money from there. If I don't get a grant or a fellowship, I don't receive any kind of money. I run the program with another artist, writer and director. She's also a musician, Kate Bell. So that thing keeps running via Zoom too. But we don't receive money from the students. I won't ask for money right now to them because they are in the same situation as.
Putting aside COVID-19, going back to the Met, what's it like performing with that company?
Oh, it's a gift. It's a wonderful opportunity. Yes, it is. Because I got into the Met through auditions with Electra, Patrice Chéreau production. At that time, Patrice was already passed away, so he wasn't in this war anymore. But I did the audition via Skype, and then in the theater, but the director was like seeing the audition via Skype. And then I had a callback, and suddenly I was working at the Met. And it was a wonderful experience. And after that, they kept calling me because I think they like what I do. I'm like this kind of weird human being. I can do tragedy, I can do clown for sure, as you know, and puppetry. So yes, when they need me, they call me, but I'm a freelance. I would like to clarify that thing. I'm not part of the Met like on a regular basis. I'm a freelancer, and they call me when someone asks for me.
Yeah. So you're not, I'm clarifying. So you're not a singer with the Met. So you come in specifically for mainly, I would maybe character acting. Is that generally your shtick?
Yes, it is.
Has that always been who you are as an actress, or did you find that at a later date?
It's something that I start to do with the mat. I didn't do it before. Normally, I have like I'm more like a co-star, or maybe I'm a theater actress. Here, I'm more like a character actress, and it's something that I do with them. And I'm grateful. Sometimes it's a job that is diminished because of the term and because I'm not a singer. But when you start to work in such a theater, no, such a building,
Mm-hmm.
that machine that it is, the Met, you realize how important we are in order to tell the story to the audience. Yes, we are not the singers, we are not the musicians, but if we are not there, sometimes some of the scenes has no coherence.
The productions are obviously incredibly large. Are you able to bond with your fellow actors and performers the way you would with a smaller cast?
Yes, no doubt. Yeah, yes. The singers are very nice, very friendly. The directors are cool, most of them too. For example, the last production that I did there was Agrippina, and it was small cast. I think there were like 7 singers and maybe 20 in the actors like area, and we were just like us coming on and off of the stage and doing everything. So the piece need us, and that was very important for the whole community.
Yeah.
Yourselves as a community.
Mm-hmm. Have you found that any other fellow cast members are also coming from out of the United States, or have you found it to be mostly American born actors?
It's mostly Americans, North Americans, but yes, I have a co-worker is from South Africa. I have other 2 workers from Russia. Yes, it's at this point it's a nice mix. I cannot deny that. I don't know how many Latin American females that they have in the like the group of workers, but yes, you can start to find like the last. I'm new at the theater. I started to work with them in 2016, but since then I can recognize like a nice palette of colors and
Oh,
nationality.
that's great. I feel like from as an audience member and looking at their seasons in general, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like in the last probably 10 years, it could have been before as well, but for myself and noticing in the last 10 years, I feel like they have made a conscious effort in including, you know, all races, all types. It's not just the beautiful soprano and the charming co-star, you know.
Yes, I would like to say that this is a tricky one. The claro, because the Metropolitan Opera, it's a theater that works with history, you know. It could be a museum.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the theater, as any other institution, is part of a society, and that society has like history, and that history is involved in a kind of in a culture. So the changes maybe are not perfect, are not like completely aligned with the things that are happening in other areas in the society, but they are trying so. And because they are trying so, we are able to keep pushing. There's a dialogue, there's a,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
can notice it even when not always the final result is the one that you want or you expect. You see them saying, okay, the X or Y singer cannot keep being like, I don't know, a blue eyes guy, like, guys,
Mm-hmm.
wake up. And they are doing the waking up. But I think sometimes institutions walk. I feel society sometimes go forward and institutions follow the changes in society. And I
Mm-hmm.
can see that. I don't know if my answer is like clear enough.
Oh, it's that. Yeah, that's absolutely clear. I know exactly what you're trying to say. Um, what's been your favorite moment so far with the company?
My favorite moment with the company, it was. know that Electra, I think the 70% of the cast was female singers and actresses.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was a very cool, like, first step into the theater. And then Agrippina for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You can see like the balance of nationalities and the balance of gender inside of the cast. Also, if you have the chance to see even a trailer of the play of the opera, Nerone, it's played for a female and is, I think, one of the strongest characters inside of the opera, besides Agrippina, which is played by Joyce Di Donato.
Do you feel as an actor, as a character actor with them, have you found that you're able to utilize those skills that you're honing there in other productions, other parts of your acting?
Yes. Basically, because I work with an orchestra, and in order to do so, you need to follow the music, and that asks you for some kind of clarity and like go to the point, don't fool around, when you're acting. So that's a kind of pain training.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, since I work there, I use some of the tools that I get from the Met in smaller productions, no doubt about it. And also, it's very interesting to work there for the kind of staging that they have. So that opened my imagination quite a bit.
I'd never thought about that. That's so interesting, especially in an opera when you are one of the few characters not singing.
Mm-hmm.
Opera is a very chauvinistic, I guess, of the performing arts. It's very much stop, I'm gonna sing for you. And that's interesting. I've never thought about the staging for the people who aren't part of that moment.
Yes, you can see how they start building everything, and because I'm also a director and I work in small companies, sometimes I see what they do and I think, okay, how I can do the same thing with $500, like, of course, it's like, fine, guys, you have the budget to do this monstrous opera where everything moves around and the lighting change all the time and you can see like you're in the mountains. How I can do the same in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Or like a more like normal kind of theater. And that, yes, at least fits my imagination.
That's great. Are you ever nervous about putting yourself out there with a bold acting choice that might not be received well in a first day of rehearsal or in a moment where they're like, all right, just do the scene, make a choice? Do you ever doubt your choices in those moments?
No.
No?
But I need, it's not, I need to give the credit of such a thing to another person. I used to judge myself all the time, and one time a teacher told me like, that's in a bad way arrogant from you. You give your thing and wait for the no from outside. No, because I cannot read what is right or what is wrong, because even when someone gives you a script or a complete scene and says, walk from here to there and do this and that, you can take your choice with your body and your voice. And then if it works well, great. If not, you can change it later, is the whole point of rehearsing. And particularly at the Met, some productions are like, don't do much, stand up there for 20 minutes looking at the audience. And sometimes it's like, this woman is this kind of woman, so this is your track. How can you do it with your perspective? And you do so, and they say, yes, cool, or change it, or do it softer, or do it bigger. And that change from one director to another. That's another good thing about the Met. You change directors all the time. You don't work with the same director. So I've been working with people who's like internationally well known
Mm-hmm.
for like the last 4 years, and some of them ask for tiny bits, tiny changes, and some people says to you, please go bold. With
Uh,
small productions, it's the same thing. Go there and I take my decision, and if it likes, good. Otherwise, you can tell me.
it sounds like freeing yourself from your own judgment allows for a lot more growth and feedback because you don't know if it's going to work if you don't do it.
Yeah, and also like working in the States, you realize that sometimes you are categorized like in a few boxes,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you do your thing, you don't go in any of those boxes. So it's a surprise for the people looking at you, and it's
Mm.
a good surprise.
Did you always know you wanted to be on the stage?
No, no. Initially, I wanted to be a psychologist. Then I start studying sociology. And while studying sociology, I realized theater is very much a sociological activity.
Hmm.
So
How so?
we keep playing with traditional theater and trying to like rewrite it, remake it in a nowadays perspective, and that's talking about societies all the time. People write new plays because they need to talk about the things that are happening right now in the moment. And sometimes sociology is just about percentage of people and census and who's A1 to 3, like the different scale in society. But in theater, you can see those roles. When you see Commedia dell'arte, you know who's the power, who has the power, who hasn't the power, why in the narrative the one who has less power is the most important character in the play, what move us, what's make us stuck in a situation and we cannot like change it at all, when the power is in the individual and when the power is in the politics. You can read all of those things doing one play. So I found myself saying this is a sociological kind of exercise, more than sociology, even when I keep
Wow.
books about sociology.
Yeah, and it's and even looking at plays, like plays that George Bernard Shaw wrote. I mean, that was the 1800s, and they are so absolutely relevant. He wrote such strong women. He was so ahead of his time in terms of writing strong women, and even plays like Spring Awakening initially was a play just about going through adolescence and sexuality and all that, and then it's now been turned into a musical off of that play. It's so relevant.
Yeah.
That's
The
so
same,
interesting.
last year I did a play with a French director, a female, and her reading of Salome, for example, to say something, changed drastically. Like Salome was this kind of beachy adolescent, or she was like stuck in a kind of like social structure when she has another power but her body.
Has it always been smooth sailing, or have you been on the struggle bus a few times?
Sometimes I see a play where I know I can do it, but I don't want to play the role.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't want to play a maid again. Thank you very much. I understand why I can play the maid, but someone with my accent can play other things but the maid. And I have the knowledge of it, and also I have the freedom to say no.
Mm-hmm.
When I arrived to this country, I remember like I had a group of theater, and at some point we went to Westchester to have like a day in a beautiful house in front of a lake. It was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And during the night, the grandparents of one of the members of the company was there. And we ate dinner and we had a few gin and tonics and those things. And I remember the grandma of this friend of mine. She asked me why you came to the States and why are you staying in the States and why you want to do theater in the States. And I answered those questions. And at some point, she looked at me and she said, you know, when with your face and your accent, you just can play two roles the rest of your life here. And I remember my friends, both of them, the granddaughter and the other guy, were like, don't say that. And I said, guys, cool, relax. And I answered to the woman, yes, if I understand the world as you understand it, I can play two roles. If I understand the world as I understand it, I can play more than 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's, yes. So going back to your first question, yes, I wait for the feedback, but I'm not innocent in the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand me?
Yes. Yes.
Things happen to me sometimes, and what that happened to me, I have my answers to put everyone in the right place.
Yes. Yes. People have told you that can be the maid. That's basically what you get to do. And that's unfair in a situation when you have all these skills, but you have obviously not allowed that to dictate anything in your career, in your life. You're just like, sure, okay, bye. I'll do what I want to now. Thank you.
Or I can be a maid, but I'll be the maid of the maids, you know, this play, let me think the author, now I lost his name, Jean Genet. I don't know if you read The Maids. These are two maids playing the madame of the house and talking about their position and talking how they are what they are, because the madame of the house is like 25. She's younger and beautiful and rich. So if I play a maid, I would like to play a maid giving a message, saying something about the position in society.
Yes. Yes. And that's true of all female roles. I feel like I've looked at a few there, and you read through, or even just watching, we were talking about Cheers earlier, and how the men have great storylines and character development, and they're very funny, and then the women, Diane just gets nothing. She just gets ridiculed for being an intelligent, educated woman.
And then they have, I think Ashley Allen is the name of the actress. After like that character, when that character is out of Cheers, Ashley Allen plays the manager of the play. And for example, one day she started to use bigger clothes, so everyone asked her if she gained weight. So besides being in my frame, you can talk about my accent and being Latin American, but also you can talk about my age and what I can play, because I'm getting closer to 40, or because I'm brown. So if she's brown, she cannot be sexy. So all the time you need to, it's like playing tag. I feel like sometimes actresses, we are playing tag all the time, and you don't want to be tagged. So you're all the time like fulfilling the shadow space. If you put me here, I'll move here, and I'll show you that I can do this other thing. And if you think because I'm brown I cannot be sexy, I'll go here and I'll show you this other thing. Or because I'm close to 40, I cannot have some dreams, I'll move again. So it's playing tag between what you receive and what you want to do.
You've been delving into other aspects of the theater world. You mentioned you direct, you create, and you mentioned theater to the people. How did that come to be? What made you decide to form this community?
The last 3 years I've been teaching with another female, Kate Bell. She's from here. And one time I talked to her about the desire that I have to teach to like a bilingual kind of class of theater where we can talk English and Spanish or other languages. Because when I arrived, I didn't speak English, and I was like, I was lucky enough to find people who does physical theater in the city, so I was able to take classes even when I couldn't talk at first. But always I thought, oh, can you imagine the amount of people that they want to do things, but they can't until they feel fluid in English. So I shared this desire with her, and she said, I want to do the same with people affected by gentrification. So we thought, okay, maybe we can put recent immigrants and people affected by gentrification and talk about the theme of home. And there's a tension, you know, people who just arrived thinking they arrived to the Mecca, and they put some things from this country like higher than themselves and higher than their countries or original countries. And then you have people that is feeling pushed from their neighborhoods and their houses because rent is going up and up and up and up. So I thought, okay, what happens if we put this group of people which come from different perspectives together, and we talk about things that we all deal in our regular basis lives, and see which kind of theater we can come up from those dialogues. Dialogues with a lot of tension sometimes. Sometimes you have this, and sometimes you have like
discourse.
Yes. So that was the first desire, and for that reason we created Theater to the People. And as a director, yes, going back to your previous question, yes, I directed a play. The name is Obligation You Are, and it's about a female who even now she has more possibilities because she was raised in another concept of reality. The no lives inside of herself. Because I think besides society now says to us, you can do this, you can do that, you are all the things that you want to be, you can be. Also the no is still sometimes inside, the doubt that can we? Can I? Yes, you can. But you know, education is like a tricky thing because then erased education is like untangled like a kind of ball of yes, it's not easy. And I think we struggle with that all the time, all of us.
Yeah. Do you believe that theater should be accessible to everyone, even if they don't want to pursue it professionally? Do you think it's important to have?
Yes, no doubt. Another important point in Theater to the People is for people from 18 and above. And sometimes when I try to find new students, they ask me, do you have classes for kids? And I explain to all of them that the city take care of kids. We have many programs for kids. But when you become an adult, you need to pay your bills, put your shit together, you know. And I think having once a week a space where you can talk, you can create characters, even when you're not an actor, you can bring a song that you like, a poem, and put it out and create any kind of dialogue with others through theater. I think is like a healthcare kind of service.
Yeah, it's almost like therapy.
Yes, it is. Even when I don't do like, you know, therapeutical theater. But, you know, for example, now with COVID, I have a lot of people that they are doing like home working. But also I have people that, because they are like working class, they are still taking the subway and going to their jobs and doing what they need to do. Otherwise, they don't have food in their houses. And every Monday, you think everyone is seeing reality as you until someone raised their hand and said, I'm taking the subway.
Yeah.
And the subway is still crowded. And not everyone has a mask on. And we are not 6 feet apart because the subway came maybe too late. And everyone needs to be on time at work. So, yes, it is therapeutical, but also creates community in a more abroad kind of sense.
Mm-hmm. Gives you new perspectives, especially in reading plays, even if you're not in theater. It's just like reading books or watching a movie. It puts you, I think reading plays puts you in a different, it feels more personal
Hmm.
when you have to actually be saying the words that are coming from this person that is not you, a
Hmm.
different perspective than your own. Outside of acting, what do you find yourself passionate about?
Nowadays, I'm working a lot with objects. I'm working with aluminum. I'm trying to create like the topography of mountains in my house.
Hmm?
Yeah, I'm doing
That,
that. And I'm trying to create like the sunrise and the sundown and rain inside of my house, because as like nature is saying to us like, guys, this is enough. I'm thinking, if one day we cannot see mountains anymore, if one day rain for real becomes something that is threatening, so
Mhm.
I'm trying to play with that and stop motion in my house. And then I'm working with an overhead projector and trying to create the night and the cosmos. So yes, besides acting, I play around with, regular objects, things that we wrap up a sandwich, but I use like 10 meters of it, and I try to take sounds out of it and different images and qualities.
Wow. So you've been able to find a whole other part of your creative brain and body
Yeah.
that's occupying your time and is a great outlet.
And has nothing to do with the things that I can play because of my image.
Hmm. That's important to find things outside of your identity that you or others have assigned to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for someone who is struggling to find where they quote unquote fit in?
Yes. And I'm sorry, it's not polite, and it's in French. Don't give a shit. Claro. The thing is, how you can say to someone, fuck off. I can do it and I can try it out. And it's not about the final result. It's not about the success of the result. It's you trying out something that you weren't supposed to try.
Mm.
And I think that is the most important thing, and it's refreshing for anyone in different levels. So if someone is struggling, like find a friend in the more deep meaning of the word. Like find someone who says, yes, I would like to see your thing, or say yes to yourself. Keep trying it, because saying no to someone is the most like, uh, it's so easy to say no.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to say no to yourself or to others. Don't
Mm-hmm.
come with a new perspective, please. We wake up, we brush our teeth, we eat breakfast. Why you want to do the things in another way? Because I want to. So go and try
Mm-hmm.
it out. But for real, try it out.
Yeah.
If I listen, if in my past, if when I was 20 something, I listened all the no's that I received, I've been working in an office and I have 3 children by now. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying like you're like, yes, I can. No, sometimes you struggle, you cry, you doubt, but keep trying, because in the long term things change. But it's because you're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To wrap the interview up, it's time to ask our final two questions. I ask the same two questions to everyone who comes through the podcast. The first question, what is your second favorite color?
My second favorite color, violet, lilac.
Lilac.
Yeah.
What do you like about lilac?
Is that thing between colors, of course, but also has something to do with the sunset and calms me down.
And then our last question, what, in your opinion, is the best part of being a woman?
Girl. I think the best part of being a woman is
You can have multiple.
we are fundamental, but because of our history, we have many layers in the understanding of reality. So we are fundamental, but we have people taught us that we are just like this recipe of babies, you know, and we care of others, and we are not that. So we understand reality in a more, I don't know how to say it. We understand.
Broad.
Yes, broad reality. We are like a prisma. Ahí está.
Mm.
We are a prisma.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's only one thing, but when you put light through, it opens.
Mm-hmm. It's the ability to see all the different aspects from, you said, the mental. We are a very mental, a mental sex, but I think it's like that moment of walking into a room and already having a sense of what's just happened in there. You feed off of all of those energies and those differences.
But not just that. The other day I put in my Facebook a list of grants and funds, emergency grants and funds during COVID-19. And initially I asked for help, like if someone can help me, please send me information. They were like all female. So what you realize is they are looking for help to themselves, but then they share. I didn't receive not even one message from a guy. I'm not saying guys are selfish. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we have this double movement since we born between individuality but also social care. So this
sisterhood.
Yes, this tension, it's in each thing that we do. It's a double. We have this kind of double movement inside of our souls, and you can see it all the time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today, Julia.
Thank you.
You're such a breath of fresh air, and you have such interesting perspectives. I always appreciate your knowledge and your phrasing. You have a really beautiful way of choosing your words very specifically.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm not great at that. I have to like say 10 words before I can even find the one I'm looking for. You're very specific in those words. Thank you to our listeners for tuning in again. Be safe, stay healthy, and show the world what you're made of.